Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. It's the final Australia versus New Zealand Trans-Tasman rivalry match happening in Dubai. Who's going to lift the trophy for the first time for themselves? No, neither of these teams have the trophy. Well-accomplished teams, big teams playing a big game. And the New Zealand batting effort, well, you can sum it up as it's been two kind of batting efforts. There's some bowlers who had a dream run, like Hazelwood, bowled his 4 overs for 16. And then on the other side, you have somebody like Mitchell Starc, who's bowled his 4 overs for 60. That's right, 16 and 60. That's how bipolar this innings has been. That's how differing the fortunes have been of these Australian bowlers. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Dinesh Karthik and Zaheer Khan. Zach, man, that bowling unit must be looking and saying, what's going on? It's like some of us were unplayable and some of us were like were cotton candy.
Well, that's how the cricket goes. We spoke about finals also, but I think the wicket has looked on the dry side. It wasn't coming onto the bat. Yeah, so from that point of view, you'll see that Mitchell Starc didn't have a great day. But generally, if you see when Pat Cummins was also bowling and the variations which he was using, Josh Hazelwood also used it to best effect on this particular track. So that's what we have to wait and see, because this 172 total is looking very good total for this track for sure. One batsman playing a great innings, getting him to this kind of a platform. Zampa also bowled well, so there is a help in the wicket, and that's why we've seen the first 10 overs was actually telling us a story that it's not an easy pitch. So when you look at this batting card, the standout name is Kane Williamson, and he has played maybe, it's too early to say, I know, but
maybe
a match
it is
whining in it.
Well, okay. So, I mean, obviously anything can happen in the second half. But DK, is it fair enough to say that so far, with, yes, one innings still to go, so far, this has probably been a shoe-in for knock of the tournament, what he's done today?
Yeah, I think come at the hour, come at the man, they say. And, I think this is very good knock. I mean, look, I always find it hard to, judge, because I think Daryl Mitchell's knock in the semi-finals was fabulous as well for them to cross the line, of a different character. Matthew Wade's knock again in this outstanding 41 against a top bowling side. But this one, the beauty is the first 20 balls, he was on 20 runs. And from there on, he kick-started it, and then took on a Mitchell Starc, arguably one of the best bowlers in the world, and tore him apart. And some of the sixes that he hit, one with a single hand, in fact, just a lovely extension of the arms, and chalk and cheese, I'd say, the way he batted and the way the rest of the other batters did.
Yeah, if you just see, I mean, he was dropped. He was 21 of 21 when he was dropped. Kane Williamson was, and Zach and me were on air on the Combox at that point in time. This happened in the 11th over, so he was dropped then. The interesting thing, of course, was that it was Hazelwood who dropped him. Starc was the bowler. Hazelwood has gone on to bowl his 4 overs for 16 runs and picked up 3 wickets. Zach, Mitchell Starc will be looking at him and saying, brother, why alone, brother? Take me with you.
I think Mitchell Starc had an off day. You have to just look at it that way, because his first over also went for 9 runs. It kind of good batting and having a tough day. It was a combination of that, I would say, and the drop catch also didn't help that. So yeah, I mean, when things go wrong, they go wrong. Then in this fashion.
Zach, I want to ask you. I really want to ask you. Have you? I mean, you must have happened. You've had catches dropped off your bowling. Has it ever happened that a catch is dropped off your bowling and then that same batter takes you, really takes you to the cleaners the next 2 overs? How do you look at the fielder then, or how does the fielder look at you?
No, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. The famous catch of Graham Gooch in the olden days, going on to scoring 300 runs. Brandon McCullum doing the same thing against India. DK will remember that maybe in New Zealand. A catch getting dropped and then going on to score that kind of big innings. So it happens. That's why every time a fielder drops a catch, the first thing he thinks that, I hope that guy doesn't have a good day. Because when that happens, you remember it for the longest of the times. So this drop catch, if Australia doesn't win the match, this catch will be talked quite a lot. There's no doubt about it. because it's just one man playing that kind of innings and taking the game away from you, and
Yeah,
that too
let's
in
see,
the
'cause he's played 27 balls after that, and he scored 64 runs. So he scored 64 of 27. That's how expensive it was. But just in Hazelwood's defense, DK, you've played at this ground. It's got a really weird, that ring of fire, right? It's got low level lights, right? Which is very different from the high kind of towers or floodlights that are in all other stadiums. Makes catching these flatter balls, and there was a flatter one that came at him, makes it very difficult.
Yes, I'm very, very sure I missed it in the light just by his reaction and the way his hands went at the ball. You could see he completely lost sight of it, and that's what happens. About 3/4 the way you don't see the ball, and then you just kind of keep your hands in such a place where you kind of think the ball would be, and that's why with the force of the ball, obviously, ball took off. I have a very interesting story that I have to say. I haven't seen Zach get angry too often, but this was one such story. It was in Wankhede Stadium. It was the 7-match series, India's Australia, the last match of the series. And I think somebody hit top edge Harbhajan. Zach was standing at deep square, like he dropped the catch. He came running. I think he dropped the catch, and then Bhaji obviously was very, very upset. I love and I think it was the last wicket, and then after a couple of overs, probably Zach only took the wicket, maybe. And then we came in, and then Bhaji was just fuming, and then Zach got upset with Bhaji. It was very funny. And interestingly, that match, Zach and Bhaji ended up winning the game for us with the bat. We were chasing a very paltry score, 125 or whatever. Murali Karthik gets 6 wickets that game, actually. That was the last ODI, I think. And Zach and Bhaji Pawali ended up winning the game for us in the last. I think they needed 30-40 runs probably, and Zach got it for us along with Bhaji Pawali. So that was one incident that just came to my mind right away.
Nice.
Dropping catches is something you can obviously nobody does it on purpose, but sometimes the heat of the moment. But it was good to see Mitchell Starc pretty calm and just upset, obviously disappointed, but didn't do much more than that.
Zach, before we just talk about Kane Williamson's innings and this chase, were you both, were Bhaji and you still upset with each other when you were batting?
Yeah, because Murali Karthik got 6, and then Bhaji on that track it was turning was not having a great day, so it was a combination of both. Okay, that's how it goes. But I think generally you as a bowler, I've lived by this, that it's not about showing the emotions towards your teammates if someone drops a catch. I do understand that at times you can't control it, and I'm sure I must have also done that on few occasions. But general, as a group, we used to have these chats that we should not allow the emotions to get better of us, especially against our teammate, because at the end of the day it's a team sport, and no one really wants to go out there and drop catches or misfield or have an off day. So yeah, I mean that's very good.
This Kane Williamson innings, is it fair to say that it's been like a surgeon, right? It's been like a surgeon. There was no blunt hitting. There was no slogging. It was clean, DK. As a batter, it's just such a joy and delight to watch that here's a guy who's not got that brute power, yet he's hitting the sixes, he's hitting the fours. It is just really sublime batting.
At the top of the show, we did speak about Kane Williamson and his batting prowess. And as I said, he's not probably in the top 5 batters in the world when you take this format, but his ability to find gaps is second to none. And the 3 shots that stand out for me, one obviously the one-handed 6, that is a bit of extension and a little bit of power. But the next shot of Mitchell Starc straight down the ground, long off being there, but still not able to even stop it 5 meters to his right. And we're talking about David Warner standing there, who's a top fielder, very quick. And one more shot, a slow one of Mitchell Starc. He walks across the stump. He sees the ball on the off stump, uses his wrist to get it over point. That is a serious shot. We always associate wrists with subcontinental players, but this is one guy who has serious wrist, because for you to get that ball, a slow one, over point is a very hard shot. You need to play the ball real late and then, use your wrist at the bottom, at the end, to turn it in such a way that you find the gap. And that was a serious shot. And you could see why he's a top-class player. I mean, for him to, big batsmen stand up under pressure. And today he showed why he's world-class player and always in the top 4 batters in the world. When we speak about Virat Kohli, Steven Smith, Joe Root, and he'll always be there. Kane Williamson in the World Test Championship in the finals. What a knock he played. Top quality player.
Well, can Australia do it? That's the question. 173 to win their first T20 World Cup. That's what they need to get in the final. Zach, you've of course seen the surface. The fact is that New Zealand are playing five proper bowlers. If you have a look, they have their two spinners in Santner and Sodhi, and then they have their three quicks. There's Bolt and Saudi, of course, their experienced opening duo. Then they have Adam Milne. They have a Jimmy Neesham, who's really very high in confidence. They have a proper bowling lineup. Australia has a proper batting lineup with Wade coming in at 7, winning the semi-final for them. He was wincing in pain in that last over when he did one dive. So hoping for Australia that he's fine. But it is very evenly matched, isn't it? With this score, with the bowling and the batting on display now.
Well, I would say it's tilting in New Zealand's favor at this point. So in a final, you get to 170 plus. I think it's a very strong platform right now for New Zealand to work from. To add to that, you did mention what kind of bowling resources they have. They have enough options to maneuver things around. Kane Williamson himself has been a very astute captain, so he knows how to build pressure. So that is something which will come into play for sure. I think from Australia's point of view, if you want to see Australia have make the game even from here, you got to see similar sort of thing what you've seen from New Zealand, which is one batter carrying through. If by the end of 20 overs you have Australia, it doesn't matter which batter, but you need one batter playing that one solid innings. And the innings I'm talking about, like 60 runs, maybe. And it's not going to be the innings which we've seen typically in a T20 format, where you just go after the bowling and play those big shots and then get those kind of runs. I think as a batter, you have to get in on this particular track, and that is going to be the key. So from Australia's point of view, if someone is able to do that, then the others can rally around him. But otherwise, I see advantage New Zealand at this stage.
It is the highest score in a T20 World Cup final. So that's the one thing going for New Zealand. It was a slow start, their lowest power play ever, and then they get to the highest score in a final. It's just been that kind of innings. It's just been that kind of Kane Williamson's day. Those innings more often than not do end up on winning sides. But hey, anything can happen. It's T20 cricket. One blistering power play, Finch, Warner capable of that. There's Marsh, there's Maxwell. There's a lot of big hitters. Wait, everyone's a big hitter. Steven Smith is kind of their guy who kind of moves things around. What would you say, DK? Are you also with Zach saying advantage New Zealand at the halfway stage?
Yeah, I think it's 55-45 to New Zealand at this point of time. Two batters for me are very, very critical. Either David Warner needs to fire or Glenn Maxwell needs to fire because of their bowling attack and how they bowl in the middle. If David Warner fires, he'll carry the team through. There's a good chance that, even in semi-finals he fired, and you could see the impact he has. Yeah. If not, it has to be Maxwell, because he's the one who could obviously hit those boundaries in the middle overs with Dinesh Sodhi and a Santner, because they're a very right-hand dominated middle order. If those two don't fire, I do think it'll be really hard for the rest of them. It's a final, you got to remember. And obviously, Dew will come in at the end and they might be slightly easier. But again, chasing 460, 560 is not going to be that easy considering the amount of pressure. You lose one wicket and, there's a lot of pressure in a World Cup final.
So the thing is that with Maxwell, it's probably going to be Warner. And Warner's just hit Saudi for 2 boundaries back to back. Because Maxwell, he's not got any runs. I think he's got a total of 30 or 35 runs so far in this tournament. He, of course, says that he's still in the zone from the IPL, which was a month ago. But if he gets into that kind of zone, then you know that he can definitely do it for Australia. Will it even come to him? Will it? Won't it? Oh, this is going to be an interesting 20 overs. It will. We're going to come back at the end of the 10th for Cricbuzz Combox. We're going to scoot right now, calling it just slightly in favor of New Zealand. But you know how it is. 1 or 2 big overs for Australia, and the balance can really tilt. So it's going to be an exciting up and down. I hope we get a final that was like the semis, worthy of being a big game with lots of excitement and thrills. Right now, this is all the thrills we have for you on the show. We're going to scoot from here. We're going to come back on Combox. See you then. Big thank you to Zaheer Khan and Dinesh Karthik. I'm Gaurav Kapur. From DK, GK, and ZK, it's bye for now.